Oh, that's right. We were doing this area. All right, back after the weekend. And I've got to say, not a very eventful weekend. We're pretty much still in the thick of it in terms of the grind of life. But besides me working on a bunch of stuff, by a bunch of stuff I mean the same stuff, just at maybe different points in time. Not really much has changed. Hey, Ika. You had a good weekend. Is this guy attackable? Yes. Updates on art. I kind of had to swap to a backup idea. I know I mentioned that last week. I'm like, man, I can't really get the sketch coming out. I can't really get it out. Worked on it this weekend. I actually got it, like, to the point where I'm like, okay, this is workable. I didn't know I said that last time, but I was working on it a little bit more. I wasn't fully happy with it. But then I just started not liking the idea. I'm like, nah, like I could do it this way and it would be probably better. And it wouldn't even be that tricky, but I think it would actually help the sort of refine the final process a little bit more. So even though the piece would not be extremely difficult, it would give me more time to practice more of the skills I'm looking to get better at. So that's good. But I've kind of, you know, dialed it back a little bit so it's not going to be anything crazy. I mean, even next month, I don't think is going to be crazy. But it's kind of going well. It's kind of going all right. You know, where there was a lot of panic of like, oh, how am I going to get this done? Am I already burnt out? I did one picture this year and I'm already burnt out. Will this guy stop? No, it's just, I think it's still just a fundamental thing. These guys are the worst. But we're good. We're good. We're hopefully back on track. I definitely can get something done in the next week. I mean, it's like a week and a half. So it's nice. It's nice to not have that panic. And have a new routine where hopefully we start to see progression again. Because something up was going on. Something up was going on. I can't talk. Something was going on last week. Just needed to get over a mental hurdle, even though it didn't feel like I was going through one. I don't know, maybe it was like a plateau. You know, it just wasn't feeling like we were getting better. 'Cause that's the goal. The goal every single month is do better than last month. And I don't want to say even it's just a little bit. I'm still not talking great. Even if it's just a little bit. Slow down. Brain, slow down. And just say the words. I want it to be at least a noticeable change. It could be a minor noticeable change. I just don't want it to be like, oh, well, like, you know, these lines look slightly better than the other lines. I want the whole thing to be noticeably better. That might be a little bit tough with what I'm working on right now, but I've kind of settled on a little bit less than I would have liked, but I think the process is better. Because really, I was trying to get this other piece working. I sketched it out so many times. Like at least 7+. Because I've probably erased some. And I really just can't wait to get out of the book I'm studying, which I will probably not be studying for another week. I'm going to be focusing a lot on just getting this art piece done. And then we'll go back into studying. Because I'm starting to realize where some of the mistakes are coming in. And it's not that they're not there. Like, the solutions are not in the book. The problem is, you know, the description of the construction of the anatomy is all separate from, like, the actual drawings. So when I'm going through, I'm like, okay, well, he's got this connected here, and this is connected there. Like, it's just all kind of visual. When you kind of need a bit of a description as well. For some of maybe the not so obvious details. Because I have not been reading the book. I mean, I've just... They're too separate. And by the time I'm done reading it, I'm just not going to interpret what it means when I'm actually looking at it. Okay, we can go this way. In fact, I know we can go this way. But I want to go the other way first. And I'm hoping not constructive anatomy. Anatomy for sculptors. I'm hoping that has a bit more. This connects to that. A bit more words with the visual. Michael Hampton's does that, which is why it's so helpful. But I'm probably not going to go through that book until after this one. So that's partly where I'm getting skill gated. Which is partly just, you know, a bad habit. It's like, well, you're drawing it wrong. And you don't even know you're drawing it wrong. So it is just a knowledge thing. But we'll improve that. And my construction just needs a level up as well. So I'm bumping up the time that I usually do life drawing to like about an hour. Which I know I've said like, oh, it usually takes me an hour. But that's because of my focus. But I think now that I've kind of figured out what the mistakes are, I have a bit more motivation to spend a bit more time into it. That just made no sense. You know, I usually spend an hour on it, but now I'm going to spend an hour on it. I'm going to use the hour better. Is that maybe a better way? It works for me, it works. I mean, it's always kind of worked, but it was hard. It was getting really hard. I'm like, man, this is not working as well as it used to. Like, I think it's because, you know, at diminishing returns, the more you learn, the harder it is to improve. So what was working before is, it's definitely not working anymore. But I think this will get me back on track. And I do want to go back and do more style studies. But I don't want to do that until, like, really the problems fundamentally are really good. Not the problems, but the problems are solved and we're really good.
Well, divorce.
Right now it feels like we're about halfway there. Looks like I'm dropping frames. Everything looks it looks fine. It looks fine. Unless it goes like red in 0.5 seconds. Could just be Elden Ring. The preview is a little not great, but usually that doesn't matter. I have to pull it up on my phone. CPU usage about the same, 0.1, 0.2. 0.0. I did restart the router too before going live, which is why I'm slightly late. But also still trying to get used to the new routine. So instead of like going live at 2:15 or 12:15, sorry. It's about 12:30-ish. Because I did a hard reset. Whenever I'm just normally using the internet and I get the internet cuts out for a second and then comes back thing, I'm just going to do a hard reset. What they told me to do last time, it worked. And usually it doesn't come back. Sorry, I had a slight voice crack there. Very fun. You know, that should have been obvious. Yeah, that's the plan for the week so far. It's just that. I'd like to maybe get some clips out. Maybe trim down a bit for the highlights. But that kind of depends on me talking. And there was not much going on this weekend. I mean, there were just some leaks about the Nintendo Direct, which is looking like it's not going to be you know, a big one. It is supposed to be happening this year. This year? This week? But it's not like anything first party. Which makes sense. And next month is the alleged Switch 2 reveal. Which is probably true. This is coming from the guy who's been like... He's the guy. He's Doug Bowser's alternate account. That would be so funny. I mean, we'll probably never know who this guy is until, like, he either gets caught or he quits. I mean, we don't even know if he works at Nintendo. He probably doesn't. Could be Reggie. Sorry, I had something on a tab. I had to quickly get out of the way. It was annoying me. But yeah, probably won't be talking about the Nintendo Direct until it actually happens. Obviously, we have Splatoon coming later this week. But that's about it. That's really it. Besides getting some artwork done. And by some artwork done, I mean like really like... It was tough. Yeah, a lot of articles were coming out saying it was delayed. But I think they're... From what I saw on Twitter, is they're trying to get the guy who's leaking information to maybe, you know, cough up a bit more information. Like they're testing him. Like, oh, we heard this. He's been known to do that. So people are thinking like they're trying to get more information out of this guy. I mean, there's really no reason to delay it. There really is none. Besides maybe like, okay, we're going to put this thing into manufacturing. Oh, we can actually make the same thing, but better. If we just hold off a little bit. Okay, well, let's just do that. Something like that. But then even then, it's like, you can't really change the specs when you're this close, because there's probably dev kits already out. So I don't know how much, like, of that going around is true. You reveal it next month and, you know, reveal that it's a year away. They didn't even do that with the Switch. They did like the big NX reveal. And it was like 6 months away. They did that in like October, November. And then it came out in March. I mean, of course, there were rumors for years. I mean, it wasn't even rumors. Like, they just straight up... Like, we had the code name, we had everything. Except the release date and what it actually was. And then we knew what it was. What is going on? Oh. Knew what it was, knew when it was coming out. Okay. Gave it a few months and, here we are. Many years later. Okay, give me 1 sec. I mean, I could turn that into a slight discussion. I could talk about why I don't think the delay is real. It could be. But I don't think it is. I said I wanted to do ARMS, but I don't know if I'll do ARMS this week. That stings. Like, the Switch 2 has to come out this. Doesn't have to, but it kind of has to. I mean, it could get delayed if Nintendo wants to launch it with like a big game. That could be the reason. But I really don't think that would affect long-term sales. But if you release it early, well, air quotes early, and it doesn't have like a killer app, yeah, you know, it might not hit so hard with the casual market. I don't know how the Switch OLED did. I don't think they're taking surveys of like, oh, do you already own a Nintendo Switch? Are you purchasing the Switch OLED? How do you feel about this product? And maybe they did. Maybe they did take a survey and they found that most people who were buying the Switch OLED already had one or something else. Had no interest in it. And if this thing is going to be backwards compatible, that means we're still going to be using Joy-Con, which I don't have a problem with, but I would like them to be of better quality going forward so that they don't get drift. I mean, that's just like a modern controller dream at this point. Like, every controller has it now. I think I just go down, I think. Nothing else. Because this PS5 controller will start drifting soon. Not soon, but like at some point it will. It's inevitable. You know, my Switch Pro controller is going to start drifting. So annoying. You've seen drift-proof joystick. They do work, but people tend to not like the feel of them as much, and they are more expensive. I mean, I wouldn't know how they feel. I've not felt one. Oh, I feel like... I don't really have a preference on like, oh, this joystick feels better than this one. I think it just depends on maybe the grip. Maybe the grip they come with is not great. But I mean, it could be the mechanism. Maybe there's not really any kind of feedback or, you know, whatever kind of tactile sort of resistance you might get on a current era joystick might not be the same. Maybe I could maybe see that being the case. But that feels like something you could eventually solve. I mean, if you're already shipping out the product like that, I don't think you could solve it. Like, oh, this is it, man. But you could probably do, like, feedback before you launch the thing. It's like, oh, okay. People didn't like this. Worked with it a little bit more. They like this. Yeah, you could probably do something like that. The more expensive part is probably the bigger concern. Because Joy-Con are already not cheap. I mean, controllers are not cheap anymore anyway. Like a Pro controller is $100. 2 Joy-Cons are $100. PS5 controller's $100. I think the Xbox One controller's still cheap, but it feels cheap. Or not Xbox One, but you know, whatever. Xbox Series X. But then they market like the $250 controllers, like the real controller. It's like, oh, okay. They use magnetic fields. Some kind of indication instead of actual mechanisms. Isn't that how, like... No, it wasn't magnets, but like the original N64 controller, wasn't it like infrared? It had a mechanism, but like... It had like a laser or something? Or is that how these ones work? I think that's how these ones work. They have like an infrared sensor. But like the old N64 was like completely analog. And it just like knew the distance. $30 per stick? That is pretty steep. And for the Joy-Con. But I would imagine they probably have Pro Controller versions too. And I am suggesting, you know, a global fix. Since it's a prevalent problem in all modern controllers. Or just give us the tools to fix it at home and don't void the warranty. Or even better, construct it in a way where you can at least disassemble that part, do the cleanup, and then put it back together without, you know, having to deconstruct the whole thing. Make it a bit more modular. And if I have to buy like a new stick from Nintendo for like $10, I'd be okay with that. Even if I couldn't clean it and it was like actually broken, I would be okay with something like that. This is also coming from the guy who is like, I think the Switch should 100% come with a screen protector now. Like, you shouldn't have to buy one separately, just include it. Either include it or already on. Oh, what the heck am I doing? Nixie is making a GameCube style controller that has no stick drift for $70. I do like the GameCube controller. But I do also like the PS5 controller. And I actually think the GameCube controller is a little overrated. I think it is a good controller, but I don't think it's an everything controller. That might be a hot take, but I don't think I'm, you know, I don't think it's too hot. There's a bit of spice there, but I don't think that's a burning red hot take. Yeah, just make it like modular. I think that would save Nintendo a lot of headaches if they did it that way. And I mean, it might even be that way. You're telling me you can just buy a replacement stick for like $30. It must be easy to just open up the thing, take the old one out, put the new one in. But I'm talking more like consumer level, like ability. Like it just snaps together and like you take off one piece and it's just easily accessible. You know, remove, replace, and you're done. You know, kind of like, you know, like arcade sticks. Except maybe even a little easier. I mean, it is like an arcade stick, but just you don't deal with the wires. You just deal with the remove and put in again. But I understand that's kind of a niche that most people probably have never even made an attempt to try. I remember for a long time I was really hesitant to open up my arcade stick. But I hated that 4-gate so bad. And by 4-gate I mean square gate. I couldn't stand it. When I saw a video and they're like, hey, you just do this and it's easy. I'm like, okay. And as long as it's designed to be module, there's like almost no way you can screw it up. Like every arcade stick since Street Fighter 4 that's been like, you know, for home use has been designed to be modded or opened up or maintained in some way. So I don't see why, you know, controllers can't be the same. Especially if we're having all these mechanical issues now. Like, do you think people would have a problem with Joy-Con drift? You're like sitting at home and you're like, oh, my stick isn't working quite right. You go to Amazon, you see replacement stick, $10. Like, okay, well, whatever. You buy it, you just open it up, remove like one thing and just put in a new one. No screwdriver, no nothing. Maybe a screwdriver. But like no ribbon cables or anything like that. Like it's designed to be replaced at home. Which, I mean, is not a great way to design a product. But I would say if you have a history of faults with the product, and you know it's you know, it's going to be more costly to raise the level of quality to the point where it would probably impact sales rather than just sell it in a way that it's easily replaced. Modular home replaceable repairable devices. Exactly what you want. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're getting to that point where like I actually want that. You'd pay more for a lower quality product just to have that? I don't know if I would go that far. And I mean, you kind of already are. If we're going from like past generation controllers to current gen, you kind of already are a little bit. In a weird backwards way. And I mean, you can technically already do it. You can. But I mean, without the fear of like voiding a warranty. Or, you know, oops, I accidentally ruined this ribbon cable. Oh, I guess that's true. They just give you a lower quality thing and you purchase, you know, the module stuff that you want. I guess that makes more sense. But like with the arcade sticks, you're already at like the top level. Like they're already using the same arcade level quality parts. And it's pretty much just through overuse that they degrade. So I still think the product you get should be good. It's more so the hassle of either learn how to deal with all the components. You know, obviously you have to get a repair kit and the right screwdrivers. I don't even think I can open up my controllers. Or just make it easily accessible and easily replaceable. That would be pretty handy. Using a PlayStation controller, but with Xbox buttons. So you actually understand the prompts. Since apparently Xbox prompts, you know, are the standard, and
Oh, Shadow,
you're asking for
thou
too
art the
much
last. Tell the two fingers,
if you want PlayStation prompts.
Rani the witch cometh. Rend thy flesh.
I think everyone should just do it the Nintendo way, where it's just like button in this position. Like, don't show me the circle button. Just show me the top, bottom, left, and right buttons in the little diamond shaped, and then just light up the one I need to press. That solves all problems. Yeah, I don't remember that guy being that difficult. And by that guy, I mean Blythe. How insane is it that RZ actually reads a PlayStation controller, but Elden Ring does not? The prompts were so accurate, it asked me to press a button I didn't even realize existed on the PlayStation controller. Because whenever you use it on PlayStation, it like opens up the share menu. You can. I am using a PlayStation controller right now, but all the prompts are Xbox. And the really annoying part is like there's not even an option like to manually change it like in Monster Hunter. I was hoping you'd stop attacking. I was hoping that would just be a one swing.
Beautifully fought. My thanks. 'Twas more of a challenge than I envisioned. Now I can finally stand before them. This is farewell, my dear. Tell Blythe and Eg.
Yeah, just put a little cover on it, or you know, keep it screwed shut. Provide the screwdriver. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Just make it easy. Make it easy for everyone. Because I would rather wait for like a package of like a replacement part. Still have my controller, still be able to use it. Then either one, have to buy a new controller, or two, ship it off, not have my controller. Which is maybe my only usable controller. And just sit there like, well, guess I'm not playing whatever, the new game. Which is like a first world problem. And then Nintendo would, like, not have to deal with repairs. I mean, well, technically anyone. I'm specifically talking about Nintendo. Because they're the most famous for it. Yeah, fun controller talk. But that is a slight concern. This place is maybe one of the worst areas. And not just in Elden Ring, in like all of Souls. Like, oh yeah, the poison swamp. Oh, my health slowly drains. Oh, really annoying. They were not having it with this one. They're like, oh, you're not afraid of the slowly drain part? Well, how about the quickly drain part? And you're like, well, this is the worst thing ever. And you want to know what else? What are you gonna do, FromSoft? We're gonna put like 20,000 items in this place, and they're all gonna be spread out. See, usually I don't have them. But I specifically remember early on, I'm like, okay, we need specifically these parts so I can make the cures. So that when we get to that area, it's not a nightmare. Do I have soap? I do. Oh, but it only cleans yourself. I thought it, like, emptied the bar for whatever reason. And, like, there's guys over there. There's, like, a big dragon over there. There's a guy up there who's relatively easy to get to and defeat. No, this place sucks. Nice try. Nine. I don't need a 9. Is this the way down? I don't remember. Yes. I remember there being a ramp, not a ladder. In fact, I should probably open up the bonfire instead of going around. Well, that's fun. I really don't want to be in this area. But we're going to be in this area for a while. So I think we're just going to hope to get Ronnie's quest line done. Or not like done, but like... I mean, I don't know. Can you get her weapon without completing her quest line. Not like I'm gonna use it, but I just don't want to activate her ending when we get to the end of the game.